Hey guys, hi and welcome to the video. My name is Saumil Shah and I would try my best to guide out you guys in this video. What should you learn in order to be a backend engineer? I would kind of like lay off the steps. What are the things I think you should know ideally if you want to become a backend engineer? So first of all, the word backend means that you are gonna create microservices or REST APIs, right, for the company so that the front end developers or the other team can consume your APIs, right? That's the very basic understanding when the word backend comes in, right? Now, first of all, let's even break down first of all with the languages. What kind of languages do you wanna you should be knowing, right? I would say, I mean, you should be comfortable with any programming language. All you should know how to read a code properly, and because think about it, right? If you are going to apply jobs, there might be a company who's working on Node as a backend, that is Express.js. In my company, I do my backend in Python. Someone does their backend in let's say gRPC or some Golang or Java, right? So languages keep changing. What you should ideally focus on is the concept. Okay, you have a controller, you have methods like get, put, post, it returns a JSON documents, right? So that's the basic. You also want to consider learning about caching services, right? When you make a REST API call, right, you should cache your response so that the next time if the user is asking for the same parameters, right, you could serve that data at a much faster rate. You should set up some kind of an expiration date. So these all things you should consider while designing it, right? How would you Dockerize your application? Backend API, right? How many clients can hit your backend API at the same time? Is it scalable? Can scale up to 100,000 people in a minute, right? So those are some of the kind of questions you should be familiar with. Okay, if I made an API, Flask API, how can I scale it? Use Nginx, WSGI, use multi-processing when you use the programming, right? You use multi-processing, multi-threading, right? Try to write async code, right? Fast API already provides that. So that was about the language, right? As I said, as of now, in general, you should have a good understanding to pick up on any programming language. So only you might have problem with the syntax, which you can easily find it on Google or documentation. Rest, you should be able to pick up things pretty fast. That's my takeaway. So that's about the programming languages, right? So I would talk about a little bit about the Python side, since my videos are more focused towards Python. Python frameworks are Django, Fast API, Flask, pretty much whatever you guys are comfortable with building, right? You want to make sure that you know how to do a secure API, right? Authentication, HTTP authentication. You want to have JWT authentication. You want to have a blacklisting API. You want to have a logger on your API. You want to make sure you enable rate limiting on your API so people do not abuse your API, right? All of these factors come into place when you hear the word backend engineer. Caching, how would you improve the response, all of this. So these are the basic things I think you should know. First of all, making a REST API. Second thing is serializing objects and deserializing objects. So yeah, you should be familiar with JSON documents, how you can serialize documents or how you can deserialize the JSON, or stuff like all of that. Should be good at data manipulation, right? So say you are making an API, so you want to manipulate certain data. You want to make sure you make a connection to the database, fetch the data, put the data on the cache, return it to the user. Next time you check the cache, if the data is there on the cache, return the cache. Otherwise, go to the database, update the cache, like a caching. After that, you are comfortable with all this, you wanna go a little high level. You wanna start thinking about architecture, right? Hey, okay, how can I develop an asynchronous architecture? Okay, so when the request comes in, I'm gonna use some kind of a worker like a RabbitMQ, or some kind of a messaging broker queue, like message like a RabbitMQ or Redis, or what was that other thing? There are a lot of messaging queues, right? So you want to have like a Celery which would process these asynchronous, and it would give you a task ID, and the user can come and check again after a specified interval of time whether the data is ready or not with that task ID. So start thinking about all of that, right? start thinking about a bigger picture always. Don't think about, okay, when you are given a problem, oh, how will I code this, how will I, what programming? No, don't think about that. Think about a higher level about architecture. Okay, what are the best ways in which I can achieve this, or what is the asynchronous way, or how can I make it more performant, how can I make it more fast, efficient. That's that, right? So I talked about a little bit about Python frameworks, right? So serializing, adding validations on your API, query parameters. That's that. You want to have a Swagger UI, so you have a documentation for that. You want to have unit test code as well. When you write APIs, you want to make sure you have a unit test, Dockerize everything, Nginx. Once you're done with that, a backend engineer has to know a databases, a lot of databases. Usually the legacy old school is MySQL, SQL, MySQL, make sure you know basics, CRUD operation, create, update, delete, and all of that. Now slowly we are also moving to NoSQL, that is MongoDB, learn how to write queries, integrate all of that with Celery, Cache, all of this, that. Some companies, if you go a little bit higher, might go for an efficient search engine, a real-time search engine, Elasticsearch. I have a lot of videos on my channel on that. So Elasticsearch, right? So that's that. Now slowly things are also moving in cloud. You want to know about DynamoDB, S3, Data Lake, Data Glaciers, writing ETL jobs. So usually backend engineers also sometimes write ETL jobs. So transforming data so that the data is available for the data analysis, whatever, who's gonna do data analysis. So you make sure that you clean the data, do all of that, making sure to add business logic to your backend services in a secure way, making sure to change those backend, business logic according to the needs of business, right? So these are the things I would say a backend engineer needs to know, right? So yeah, you can start from like small, like from Python, then learn the frameworks. Learn what you do is learn about the caching, learn about architectures, move to cloud technologies. So yeah, you should know when should you use a REST API, when should you use a serverless Lambda function, what is the advantages, the cost aspect, in which way you can save money for the company, what's the best possible way in which you can achieve these kind of stuff. Large file processing, invoice processing, sending emails out to the customers, all of those kind of services you would be developing it as a backend engineer. As I said, the task really depends upon the company to company, upon application to application, what you are trying to develop. So I kind of wanted to give you an overview on what a backend engineering or what a backend engineer does, right? My job role is basically full stack. I do backend, I do front end, I do ETL jobs. I pretty much do whatever is required for a product, right? So I have to deal with every single thing, and of course I do not know everything. So I sometimes have to do Stack Overflow, but I do have a general understanding of about programming languages, the general concept like classes, objects, inheritance, static members, and all of that, right? Basics should be clear, private, public, all of this. So if those are clear, then understanding these languages becomes pretty easy because it's just a change in syntax. Because people might ask me, how do you remember so many languages? You code in Python, in company I do C#, JavaScript. How do I remember in a list? It's a push, or it's an append in Python. So it's basically like, if you forget, you can just Google it, right? Syntax is fine, but the concept remains same, right? A list has a list. You can add items, you can delete items, you can pop items, whatever XYZ. So right, the concept remains same. Just the syntax would change, right? So that's that. Yeah, I guess I think this should give you a pretty good idea on what a backend engineer does, right? So, but if you have any additional questions on anything you want to know in general, I would be more than happy to create videos for you guys. I try my best to get the best contents for you. Let me know in the comment section what kind of videos do you want to listen, and I would plan out a day, find out some time and create a video for you. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this small video, and if you did enjoy, kindly leave a like on this video. If you have any more questions, kindly leave your questions in the comments. As usual guys, keep smiling, keep coding, be safe, don't waste your time, be happy, and enjoy your life as well at the same time. And I will see you guys in the next upcoming videos. Thank you.